You get to see the raw stuff of what my deputies dealt with my office having to deal with on a regular basis. But I think they did a good job. And probably the only thing I would say is she was far from the perfect neighbor.
I would think so. What do you think of Susan Lorinc's, I think it might have been around 8 calls to the police over the course of 10 years. Did she have any right to make those calls, or were those calls that were what the rest of us would consider the "are you kidding me" calls? These are kids doing what kids do, playing football, not on her property. Was she completely outside of her right to make these complaint calls?
So any citizen has a right to make a call, but you're absolutely correct. These type things are petty. These are things that are frivolous. Here's the truth: they're kids, and that's all there was. It was kids. What kid? You don't want your kid inside the house playing on a video game. I think that's our biggest complaint. You want them outside playing in the yard, having fun. Listening to a kid yelling and screaming, I think as parents, that's what we enjoy hearing, because they're enjoying life while they come before they become adults and have to deal with stuff like you and I do, Ashleigh. So her stuff, no, it didn't rise for us to be called every time, but I do have a burden of responsibility when a citizen calls and comes. And the stuff that she brought up, like the trespassing, they weren't trespassing, and there was very little in which we could, truly do. Thankfully, my deputies did the right thing, and I think that's what the show shows how my deputies did the right thing each and every time, explaining to her, no, they're perfectly fine. They're kids, and it's tragic.
And I know we don't live in a world of Minority Report. You can't stop criminals from committing crimes when they're just annoying people, and that is clearly what Ms. Lorincz was, an annoying complainant. They in fact called her that word I can't stand. I think it's so unfair, but they called her a Karen on the block. The only thing is, I noticed in some of the pictures we were running, there were signs saying Black Lives Matter, and this definitely had a racial component to it. A lot of people said, well, she should have been arrested right away, and it might have been because she was white that it was 4 days. There's more to it than that, though. There's the stand your ground law. But was that an inordinate amount of time, those 4 days, to establish that, okay, there's a stand your ground law, we need to investigate it, and ultimately decided, nah, this lady don't qualify, we got to haul her in? What's your read on that delay?
So, as in the time, no, it wasn't long. Here's the fact, and you kind of hit the nail on the head a minute ago. Florida has a great stand your ground law. Now, unfortunately, just like any law that's created, defense attorneys take advantage of them and twist them and turn them to the advantage of their defendants in a court case to get them off on certain things. But here's what people don't understand. Now, let me first start with the BLM. No, it had nothing to do with any racial. Now, I told it in the beginning, and I'll tell you again right here on camera here right now for you. Do I believe that Lorincz was probably racist? There's a very good possibility. Do I think it was racially motivated? Absolutely not. And some of my frustration is being pressured for something, because here's a case. Now, here's what everybody's got to understand. This is a very important case. This is where you do not want to make a mistake. You don't want your detectives, you don't want anybody to make something that they forgot to cross the T or dot the I that gets it thrown out in court. Now, when it comes to Florida's comes to Florida's stand your ground law, it got changed, and it's been changed a couple times over the years, but here's where it changed. It specifically says in there that the investigating law enforcement agency must first, before making any other charges, must first disprove stand your ground. The burden is on us and law enforcement, and we can be held accountable if we don't do that. So 4 days, absolutely not. What that means is my deputies meticulously took the time to analyze everything that was done so that no defense attorney can say, well, that's stand your ground. We eliminated that. Now, in the beginning, was I confident that stand your ground didn't exist? Absolutely, I was confident. But we had to prove it. Yeah. And that's what got us over that hurdle.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.